You don't have to use these products in your tank. But let me tell you why you should. If you didn't already know, fish get their nutrients both from their food and their environment, meaning the water. When we keep our fish in an enclosed system of water, those nutrients will get depleted, which is one of the many reasons why we water change our tanks. No, it's not just for reducing nitrates. Cichlid trace has these essential elements and minerals our fish need. Now I know what you're thinking. Doesn't the new fresh water we add to our tanks during every water change replenish those minerals? Yes, it does. Does the new fresh water have all the minerals found in cichlid trace? That's debatable.
Yep. Nope.
Mainly because everyone's water source is different. And if you actually did know exactly what's in your water source, I bet that there'll still be some stuff missing that's in here. Dosing cichlid trace is going to be fairly simple. The measurements are right in the bottle, and you want to make sure that you dose your entire tank's volume of water during every water change. Now, if you don't do weekly water changes like me, let's say you do bi-weekly or even monthly water changes, keep in mind that your fish are using up the minerals in that water. So for that reason, I suggest that you dose your cichlid trace at least bi-weekly. Now, while cichlid trace is great for any type of cichlids, cichlid lake salt is best used with African cichlids. Why? That's a great question. Cichlid lake salt also has minerals that your African cichlids need, but it also helps in increasing your water hardness. Yes, African cichlids should be kept in hard water and higher than normal pH levels. Normal water sources here in the US are generally in the neutral pH level, so we must manipulate the water to mimic the hard, brackish water of the African lakes. Whoa, 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 hold on a second. I see you reaching for the keyboard with malicious intent. Let me just say this real quick. Yeah, it's true, your African cichlids have probably never seen the African Rift Lakes, and they've been store bred for many generations and kept in whatever source water your breeder has, but guess what? That still doesn't change millions of years of evolution and genetics. These fish have the color they have because of the salty, brackish water that their ancestors came from. So while yes, they'll do fine in whatever pH level you have, but if you know me, you know this. I don't want my fish to just survive. I want them to thrive. For that reason, it's my opinion that you keep your African cichlids in a pH level between 7.6 at the lower end and about 8.3, 8.4. For Lake Malawi cichlids. If you keep Lake Tanganyika cichlids, you'll want to go higher than that. Now, while I advocate that one of the best ways to raise your pH is a natural source like aragonite sand or crushed coral as a substrate, adding cichlid lake salt will help to complement the buffering power and allowing your substrate to last much longer before depleting all of its minerals. You follow? If you don't use a natural source like one of the substrates I just mentioned, or limestone rock in your tank, or a bag of crushed coral in your filter, then your next best thing is to use Malawi buffer. For Lake Malawi fish, obviously, they have buffers for each lake. While the cichlid salt raises your water hardness, the Malawi buffer raises your water's pH level. But again, a natural source like aragonite sand is gonna be your best bet. I have a whole video right there. Check that out if you need more information. Before we move on to the mineral content of each of these, let me quickly show you how you should be mixing and dosing your cichlid salt. When you dose your cichlid lake salt, you want to use some tank water in a cup, add your cichlid salt to that tank water, and mix it well until it dissolves properly. If not, you'll have chunks of salt in your tank. So make sure you give it a good mix and dissolve this salt as much as you can before pouring it into your tank. Or you can do what I do. You see this big gap I have back here, which is the gap between my 3D background and the back of the tank? I take my salt, dry or mixed, and I just pour it right behind the background. I'm not gonna do it now because I already added the cichlid salt when I did my last water change. One thing I forgot to mention, when adding your cichlid salt, only add the amount you need for the amount of water that has been changed from your tank. Salt will not evaporate with the water in your tank. That salt stays in your tank all the time. So keep that in mind. Always dose for the amount of water that you changed, not for the entire volume of your tank. Trace, on the other hand, dose the whole tank. Many people think that these two awesome Seachem products are the same thing. Nope. One, I just explained that cichlid lake salt helps with water hardness and keeping your water buffered. Two, while they both have a lot of the same minerals in them, each one has minerals that the other one is missing. Let's take a look. Now, forgive me while I geek out for a second, but I feel like this information isn't anywhere on the internet or on YouTube, so let's put this to bed once and for all. Here's the label for cichlid lake salt, and here's the label for cichlid trace. Don't worry, I'm gonna leave them up here the whole time and you can pause the video in case you need to see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's start with the minerals that both of these have. Both have calcium, magnesium, potassium, iodine, and iron, but take note that they have different amounts of each of these. The higher concentration of these minerals in Cichlid lake salt is how the Cichlid salt helps with hardening your water, while the Cichlid trace does not. And check this out, here's what's in Cichlid lake salt that's not in Cichlid trace. Aluminum and, drumroll please, sodium chloride. For you non-geeks out there, sodium chloride is salt. The same active ingredient in aquarium salt. They named it Cichlid lake salt because it has mineral salts and actual salt. Now I know this is a touchy subject in the hobby, whether using salt for freshwater fish is beneficial to them or not. Well, let me tell you something. If you're against using aquarium salt for your freshwater fish, but you use Cichlid lake salt,
it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
So you might be thinking Cichlid lake salt is better than trace, so why use trace at all? Hold your horses, buddy. Let's take a look at what's in Cichlid trace that's not in the salt. Trace has copper, fluorine, manganese, selenium, and zinc. Yes, it's in trace amounts, but these are all elements demonstrated to be necessary for proper fish health and growth. I took that right off the Seachem website. So for these reasons is why I use both Cichlid lake salt and Cichlid trace to get the best of both worlds, so my guys got everything they need. And you be the judge. You tell me, do my guys look like they're thriving, or they're thriving, or they're thriving? Oh, and if you spot a beautiful fish and don't know what it is, here's the name of each species. See you on the other side.